Hello, everybody. My name is Max, and welcome to our pronunciation course. In this course, you're going to learn all the important pronunciation tips and lessons referring to B2 first and C1 advanced. Now, in this lesson, you're going to learn about word stress. So without any hesitation, let's begin. All right, let's see what word stress is. Now, word stress is not something really difficult, honestly. You can just learn it pretty fast, but you have to practice this 100% if you want to be completely comfortable with this. Now, first of all, in your speaking paper, this is really important. All the pronunciation things that we're talking is referring to your speaking test, okay? Now, in your speaking paper, you will get definitely higher marks if your pronunciation is clear. In words of more than one syllable is stressed more than the others. If you stress the wrong syllable, the word becomes difficult to understand. In dictionaries, the stressed syllable is marked like this. If you look at this part, this is a mark that shows where you have to put this stress. You cannot say industrial, you have to say industrial. So you put the stress here, and that's how the word is stressed. Now, before that, you might ask yourself, like, I don't know what syllable is. I don't know how can I find this. So first, let's watch an introductory video about syllables, which is from Top Notch. Let's try to watch this video together and see what syllable is. And after that, I'm going to explain that to you as well. So let's watch it together.
Syllables. A syllable is part of a word. A word can have 1, 2, 3, or more syllables. The word name has 1 syllable. Name. Letter has 2 syllables. Letter. Syllable has 3 syllables. Syllable. Pronunciation has 5 syllables. Pronunciation. Listen to the syllables in these words. I'm. Doctor. Pilot. Musician. Manager. Engineer.
Very good. So this is called syllable. Each word in English can consist of 1 or more than 1 syllable. And when we say word stress, is that you have to find out which syllable, if it's more than 1. Because if it's 1, there is no stress. You have to just stress the one that you have. But if it's more than 1, you should consider whether you have to stress the first syllable, second syllable, third, fourth, whatever that you have. An example can be here, doctor. For example, as you can see, doctor has 2 syllables. Now, the first syllable is stressed. The second syllable is not. We pronounce it without putting a stress or putting a little bit of, we don't pronounce it strongly. We try to pronounce it a little bit less than the first syllable. So we say, for example, doctor. We don't say doctor, right? That doesn't make sense, right? Or pilot, or pilot, or pilot. Sounds weird, right? Or the same as musician, musician, not musician, musician, that's wrong. Musician or musician, musician. You see, that doesn't make sense and it sounds weird. Now, this is referring to the stress. Now, you might ask me, Max, where can I put the stress? How can I find the stress? Well, let's say there are some rules for stress, and some words, they don't have any rules. So the only way that you can find them is through searching into a dictionary or something, and you find them. I'm going to teach you all of it, how to do it, how to find them, how to search for it. But let's try to take a look at those that they have some kind of a little bit of rule and we can somehow guess them based on the words that they have. So first, let's take a look at one pronunciation lesson referring to a stress in two-word pairs. Let's watch this video together.
Stress in two-word pairs. In a two-word pair, we put two words together to make a noun. For example, phone number. In a two-word pair, we stress the first word. The first word sounds stronger. Listen to the stress. Phone number. The stressed syllable is extra long. Phone number. Listen to these examples of two-word pairs. Phone number. Main Street. Email address. English teacher. Flight attendant. Now listen and repeat. Click on pause after each two-word pair. Phone number. Main Street. Email address. English teacher. Flight attendant.
Very good. So as you can see, for those words that they consist of more than one word, we call them two-word pairs, we mostly stress the first word. So we don't put the stress on the second word. We don't say phone number. We say phone number. Not Main Street, Main Street. Email address, English teacher, flight attendant. So you put this stress. Of course, I'm trying to a little bit exaggerate the pronunciation so that you can understand it, but you don't need to put that much of a stress that I'm putting. But what I'm saying is you have to put the stress on the first syllable and not putting it on the second syllable. Now, let's watch another video about phrasal verbs. Let's see how we should pronounce the phrasal verbs and how we should put the stress with phrasal verbs. Where should we put the stress?
Stress of particles in phrasal verbs. We usually stress both the verb and the particle in a phrasal verb. Drop off. I'm going to drop off the car. When an object pronoun comes between the verb and the particle, the pronoun is not stressed. Listen. Drop it off.
Where are you going to drop it off?
Listen to the stressed and unstressed words. Notice the stress in the phrasal verbs. Notice, too, the unstressed object pronouns. I'm going to drop off the car.
Where are you going to drop it off?
Don't forget to turn on your headlights.
I've already turned them on.
Could you turn off the air conditioning?
Sure, but how do you turn it off?
I need to pick up the tickets.
When will you pick them up?
Now listen and repeat. Click on pause after each sentence. I'm going to drop off the car.
Where are you going to drop it off?
Don't forget to turn on your headlights.
I've already turned them on.
Could you turn off the air conditioning?
Sure, but how do you turn it off?
I need to pick up the tickets.
When will you pick them up?
Very good. Okay, so as you can see, whenever you are using the phrasal verb, when there is no pronoun or nothing in between these two parts of a phrasal verb, you just have to stress both of them. You don't need to stress this one more than the others. You just drop off the same. You pronounce it the same. But when there is a pronoun in between, you should try to not stress this pronoun. You cannot say drop it off. You have to say drop it off. drop it off. So I put the stress on off and drop and try to not put any stress on this one. The same as this one, it says don't forget to turn on your headlights. Turn on, turn on. But this one, turn them on, turn them on, turn them on. I'm not saying turn them on. I'm not putting a stress on them. Turn them on, turn them on. So not putting a lot of stress and try to just move and try to pass this them and not putting a lot of stress. The same as turn off, turn it off, turn it off. Or pick up, pick up, pick them up, pick them up. So this is how we can put a stress on different parts of phrasal verbs and what comes between them and how we pronounce the phrasal verbs completely. Now, let's try to take a look at a source, a good source that you can check all the pronunciation and all these, let's say, tips that we talked about, how we can find this marks, how we can find the pronunciation. If I don't know how to pronounce a word, where can I go? The best dictionary that I know for a learner is out there. Is called Longman Dictionary. Now, this dictionary is completely free and you don't need, let's say, anything to pay for it unless you want to download the application or something. But you can use your browser and you can search on Google easily Longman Dictionary and it pops up and you can just search whatever you want there. Now, why should we check Longman Dictionary? Basically, the things that you can search there are different things such as pronunciation, collocations, verb patterns, lots of examples, and also it's free. Now, one thing that you have to remember is when you search a word in this dictionary, it's going to give you something like this. For example, if I search the word industrial, it's going to give me something like this. First of all, on top, after you search a word, you can see all the different forms of that word, which we call it word family. The noun forms, the adjective forms, the verb forms, the adverb forms. So it's really good. You can find different forms of it, which is really good for reading and use of English. Now, other thing is, which is really important for this course, for pronunciation, is looking at this part. As you can see, each one of these separated parts are one syllable. So whenever you have difficulty reading, for example, a word, try to read it syllable by syllable and then put all syllables together. And in that way, you can pronounce the word faster and better. You don't need to read the whole word at the same time. Just read it syllable by syllable. Industrial. And now if you put it together, it becomes easier. Industrial, industrial. Now, one thing you got to consider is, as I mentioned, the stress is always marked in the dictionary. So where is it? It's here. You can see, of course, these are called phonetics. If you learn the phonetics, it's really good, but it's not 100% a necessity to learn them. But if you learn them, well, that's going to really be helpful for your pronunciation because you can read the pronunciation. Phonetics explain how your mouth should move when you're reading a word. But again, it requires a specific kind of lesson. You have to learn all the phonetics. It's not very difficult. It's easy to learn. But for those that they want to just read the pronunciation, read it and understand how it pronounces, you can easily learn the phonetics. But basically, if you look at this part a little bit here, this small marks here, it refers to the stressed syllable. So it gives you the part that you have to stress. For example, it's before D, so it means you have to pronounce here. You have to say industrial, industrial, not industrial. You have to say industrial. Now, again, if you didn't understand this phonetic, what you can do is here. You've got two pronunciation as well. The red one is British pronunciation and the blue one is American. So if you click on each of this, you can listen to the different pronunciation, American or British pronunciation. Remember, in the exam, you should try to follow only one of these pronunciations. You cannot just have a mixture of British, American, Australian, like all these languages or pronunciations or accents. You cannot just mix them up. Accent is not important, but pronunciation matters. You should try to have at least one pronunciation at a time. You cannot just have different pronunciations. So try to follow American or British. Mostly if you learn British throughout the school, throughout your English classes, lessons, or whatever you had, try to follow that structure. If you learn British, learn British pronunciation. If you learned American, Canadian, or whatever language, or depends on the teacher that you had, try to follow that. Or if you want to just follow your whatever you like, you can just follow whatever you like, because both of them are acceptable for the exam. There is no difference. You're not going to get extra mark if you speak British or if you can pronounce the words American. Nothing whatsoever. So you're not going to get any extra points for having different pronunciations. Just the thing that it matters is correct pronunciation. You just have to put the stress correctly, and all the things that we're going to say in this course, that what's matter for the examiners, and not whether you are speaking with the American accent or British or whatever. So this is how you can search for word stress in your dictionary. Now, I also mentioned that you can also search for other things such as verb patterns. Now, what does it mean, verb patterns? Well, sometimes verbs are followed by different words, okay? For example, you can find how we can use the word avoid. Again, if you search the word avoid, something like this is going to pop up on their page. And here, as you can see, it is telling you how you can use this verb correctly in this dictionary. It says you can say avoid doing something. For example, you've got the example as well here, and you can also listen to all the examples so you can hear them. If you don't know how to read them, just click on this little sound icon and it's going to play the audio file for you so you can listen to it. For example, it says the refugees left to avoid getting bombed. So here, avoid doing something. And this is the verb pattern, which this is really helpful, of course, for your speaking, not for pronunciation. Basically, there's nothing related to pronunciation here, but this is a verb pattern, or the way that we can use verbs. You can also find this. Now, if you scroll down on the same page, if you just scroll down, you're going to come up with something called collocations. Now, what is collocation? Collocation refers to what words in English comes with, let's say, what words come with the other words in English. And we can create some kind of group of words together. For example, the collocations with the word play, the verbs that we can use with the word play are here, listed here. For example, write a play, go to see a play, write a play, perform a play, I don't know, act a play, so whatever. And all these verbs, you can use them with the word play. Now, with other things, you can search also here and you can get all these other collocations. Remember, collocation is really important when you're speaking. It matters. And your reading and use of English is also important. So you can also search for collocations in your dictionary as well. Now, let's try to do something. Let's try to a little bit practice. Now, I'm going to play an audio file. We've got a couple of words down here. I want you to, in your notebook, try to write these words right now and try to listen to the audio file that I'm going to play and underline the stressed syllable in each of these words or phrases. Okay? So let's listen and try to underline, and after that, we'll check.
Industrial. Relaxed atmosphere. Wonderful. Important business. Impressive. Historic. Attractive. Residential.
Very good. So if you couldn't understand, pause the video, go back, listen again. Now, let's try to check. Let's try to check the pronunciation together. Now, here is the stressed syllable in each of these words. Let's listen one more time, and based on all of these underlining, try to find out where we put the stress.
Industrial. Relaxed atmosphere. Wonderful. Important business. Impressive. Historic. Attractive. Residential.
Very good. Now, in the exam, you should always remember when you're having your speaking exam, you should try to put the stress correctly. So the examiners are looking for this is one of the criteria of pronunciation. As we mentioned, one of the most important factors of your pronunciation is word stress. So there are many things in the pronunciation that we mentioned. One of it was word stress. Another thing is, for example, intonation, sentence stress, linking sounds, all these things that we mentioned in pronunciation that matters, which helps you to understand other speakers better because they put the stress in a, for example, correct way. Or all the pronunciation is, let's say pronunciation refers to making the language clear for others. So you have to do some things to make the language clear. Otherwise, the language, the words that you're saying are not clear and people can misunderstand what you're saying. And that's the whole goal, referring to word stress. Now, something you got to remember is whenever you don't know the pronunciation of the stress, go there, go to Longman Dictionary, try to save it as bookmark there. Remember, Longman Dictionary has to be your best friend throughout this exam. If you're not using the dictionary right now, something is missing. 100%. Me as a teacher, I use dictionaries all the time. Why? Because I need to give my students better examples, better collocations, and if they have some problem with pronunciation, we can always play the pronunciation in the class for them so that they can listen to it. So remember, this is really, really important to always search words in your dictionary. If you don't know the pronunciation, go there, check it, find this stress, and practice, repeat them a couple of times, record your voice and listen to your voice, and again, compare it with the pronunciation. If something is missing, if you're not pronouncing correctly, record it again and try to make it better every time that you pronounce a word. And that's definitely going to be really helpful for the future because, first of all, you're going to speak clearly, and also you're going to get some points for your B2 or C1 exam. Now, some related words, the stress is different depending on whether it's a noun or a verb or an adjective. So, for example, look at these words. How do we pronounce the first one? Is it necessary or necessary? Look at the mark. Necessary. Necessary. But the second one is necessity. Necessity. You see, I have to put the stress on the second syllable. Now, again, this is sometimes has some rules, sometimes they don't. I'm going to teach you some really good tip for this. Look at these words, a pair of words. We've got a lot of different words here. Now, one pronunciation tip that I can tell you is that the stress is always on the syllable before the suffix. So what are these suffixes? Like, for example, examination, we have shen, T-I-O-N, which is your suffix. The stress comes before this. Or possibility, again, liddy, at the end, you have to put the stress before that. Now, based on this tip, let's try to listen and again, try to decide which syllable is the stress in each of these words. After that, we're going to take a look at and answer.
Satisfying. Satisfactory. Educate. Education. Exam. Examination. Explain. Explanation. Graduate. Graduation. Possible. Possibility. Prefer. Preference. Refer. Reference. Relative. Relation. Institute. Institution.
Very good. So did you do it? If you couldn't, try to pause the video, go back, listen again, try to do it one more time. If you want, you can do it 3 times. Not a problem. 4 times. Just do it as long as you're comfortable. You can do it as many times as you want to get them right. So, did you do it? Fantastic. Now let me
Satisfying.
show you the answers. So again, I'm going to play one more time. This time try to listen and check with your answers and my answers here.
Satisfying. Satisfactory. Educate. Education. Exam. Examination. Explain. Explanation. Graduate. Graduation. Possible. Possibility. Prefer. Preference. Refer. Reference. Relative. Relation. Institute. Institution.
Very good. As you can see in most examples, the stress is before the suffix. Like satisfactory, -tory is your suffix. So you're adding, let's say you're putting the stress before that suffix. The same as education. Education, you're putting ke, you're putting the stress on ke because it's before the suffix. The same as examination. Again, you're putting the stress on ne because it's before the suffix. So that's how we do whenever you have some kind of a suffix in your word. Mostly we put the stress before that suffix, and in that way you can create your word perfectly and you can pronounce it perfectly. Now, what about those words which they have the same noun and verb form? In English, there are many words that they have the same form as noun and verb. But do we have to pronounce them the same, or we have to pronounce them differently? So that's completely, again, based on the form. If you have the noun form, you have to pronounce it different from the verb form so that we don't have any confusion which word you're using. Is it the noun form or is it the verb form you're using? So what is the tip? What is the, let's say, lesson here? How can I distinguish? It's pretty easy. In English, whenever you have a word that has a noun form and a verb form, we stress the noun form, the first syllable of the noun form. So whenever you have a noun form, you have to stress the first syllable. And whenever you have a verb form of the same word, you have to stress the second syllable. Now, look at this. I'm going to say this one time. Let's take a look at the first one. Progress, progress, progress. So I'm putting the stress on the first syllable. So this is the noun. Whereas progress, progress, I'm putting the stress on the second syllable. So in that case, that's a verb. Now, what I want you to do is, as a practice, I want you to go and come up with the pronunciation of these three words. Now, I want you to open your dictionary and search for the word permit, contest, and present, and try to check for the noun form and the verb form. Remember, when you search on the dictionary, it will tell you whether you need the verb or the noun. So you can scroll down to reach to the verb or the noun form. So whatever comes up, you can also scroll down, 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 down until you reach to a part that says this is a verb or this is a noun. And then you can listen to the pronunciation of that word, and easily you can find the stress in that case. Now try to check these 3 words as a practice. You will see that the pronunciation is different, is slightly different because you have to put the stress on the first syllable when it's a noun and second syllable when it's a verb. And in that case, you can find it pretty easily. All right, so this is all about word stress. So from now on, whenever you don't have any idea where you should put the stress, go through the dictionary, check it there. Easily you can find the pronunciation, you can find the word stress, and remember to repeat it a couple of times so that you feel completely comfortable. If you see that you're pronouncing some words, you don't know exactly where you should put the stress, write them down, and after a while come back to your list and check whether you're pronouncing them again correctly or not, or you're just pronouncing them the same as before. So write the words that you're not sure. Whenever you come across a word that you're not sure whether the first stress is syllable or second, don't trust always your instincts, because sometimes you look at the word and think, oh, I've heard it like this, probably that's the way we pronounce it. But no, if you have 1% doubt, go check. If you're 100% sure, okay, don't check. But if you're 99% sure, you have 1%, let's say you're not sure, go and check the word in your dictionary. Of course, you have to search it on Google, and it comes up, and try to save it so that you can just by one click, it goes directly to that page so that you can check the words. And Langbaan is not our sponsor. You don't think that I'm just saying a lot of times. No, because Langbaan is a very good dictionary that I'm trying to somehow promote it a lot. And it's a very good dictionary because it's very simple. You can understand it pretty easily as a learner. It's not very difficult. There are many other types of dictionaries out there which you can find, but this is the one that I really recommend. And you can work with it and you can practice everything with this dictionary. So try to make it your best friend. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.